I found a light bulb! But I was looking at my collection of original Xbox games, and it got me thinking about the people who say, well, games were so much better back in the day, they've gotten so shit recently. And I disagree with that notion. I don't think it's true in the slightest, to be honest. I can see why people would think that, but there are a few reasons why I think they believe that, if that makes sense. Reason number one, survivorship bias. We remember the great games like Fable the Lost Chapters or... Okay, I personally can't remember those games, so Fable the Lost Chapters, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2, could probably go a bit older than that, that pinball game from that we used to get on Windows XP. All of these are remembered because they were commercial successes. Like, they won the industry, so to speak. So, of course, they're going to be remembered. Like, the exact same thing happens with music. And I'm pretty sure I made a video about this exact topic years and years ago on my main channel. But we remember the things that succeed, but we don't remember the failures. Like, at least most of the time we don't. Like, we will remember things like that shitty Mega Man remake or... Dragon Age 2, even though I kind of like Dragon Age 2, I will admit, but a lot of people hate it for some reason. Like, games released today are going to be just as buggy as games released 20, 10, 15 years ago, yeah? Like, we only remember the ones that were great and weren't riddled with bugs because of survivorship bias. Yeah, sure, with the fact that now you can get everything online and it's easy to patch stuff and everything, things might be released on day one buggy, but that's a good thing. Like, the internet was a fucking miracle for video games. Like, if you had a game... Okay, I'm just going to use Fable as an example. Oh shit, where did I put it? Ah, here it is. It's not the Lost Chapters, but it's just normal Fable, but it's fine there. There was a really, really piss-easy way to glitch this game. You upgraded a certain ability, which basically deflected damage. It took away your mana instead of your HP until your mana was empty. And you could rack up a shit ton of experience points with this because being hit and it draining your mana instead of your HP didn't count towards breaking combos. So you could get like 50, 60, maybe even 70 combos and just have a shit ton of XP and just be overpowered as soon as you unlocked it. That wouldn't happen in today's world. This would be patched as soon as it was noticed. And that's a good thing. Sort of. Is it a good thing? Yeah, that's a good thing, because now the developers have more control over their own product. Like, they don't have to... They're not only allowed to do shit up until the release date. Now they can do whatever they want to it. Like, patching a glitch that makes the game easier. Like, granted, that wasn't the best example, but I hope you get my point. I don't see why anyone would complain about developers being able to patch their games after they're released. Like, yes, sure, it'll make day one releases annoying, but you shouldn't be buying games on day one anyway. The fact that it's not a ticking time bomb anymore and you have to get everything done by this release date or, you know, the whole product's going to fail and the publisher's going to fucking castrate you with a rusty spoon and you're going to have your family taken away and all that. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but, you know, play along, it's funny. Like, no longer you're going to be sent to the death camp for, you know, not finishing that model on time. Right, now developers can take longer and the end product is inevitably better. If it wasn't so much better, the industry wouldn't have just grown exponentially in the last 10-15 years. Unless you think it's the fairies that get kids excited for the next Call of Duty because they see an ad for it on the internet and like a shit ton of DLC and expansion packs that make the developers even more money so they can make more great games and everybody's a fucking winner. Stop getting upset over nice things, you retro-Puritan bastards! Reason number 2, it kinda goes into reason number 1, but it's sort of different. Nostalgia. You remember playing these games and having a shit ton of fun playing them as a stupid child who was easily entertained. Like, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence. Like, every child is easily entertained and stupid, at least compared to what they will be like when they're an adult. I remember being about 2 or 3, couldn't be older than that. I remember having fun playing this. Yeah? Fucking Sonic 3D. Like, this is absolute garbage. This shouldn't be considered a game. This is a tech demo of how things can look in 2.5D. Like, when was this fucking piece of shit made? 1997, so fucking 5-6 years after Doom already showed that. This is a joke. This is a terrible excuse of a game, and I had fun playing it. The point I'm trying to get at is that these amazing games that we don't see nowadays are probably not as good as you remember them. Like, and that's not... I'm not trying to insult your childhood or anything. I'm just trying to, tell you the truth. Does that mean every new game is better than every old game? No, of course not. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. If you're perceiving what I'm saying as that, I'll try and explain this as simply as possible to you. Let's say you're about 8 years old, yeah? And your parents buy you a PlayStation 1. And you're like, whoa, and you've never played a video game before. So you're like, holy shit, this is so cool. And they buy you Metal Gear Solid as well. And you play Metal Gear Solid, and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, they're the little people, and they're walking around, and you can shoot, and like, hey, look, there's a half-naked sniper, and no, not that one, the blonde one. And it's, and you got, like, you have to take pills to steady your aim, and you're like, holy shit, this game's so cool. And then, say, 10 years later... Actually, when was Metal Gear Solid? 10 years later, you're playing the PS3, and you play Metal Gear Solid 4, and everything's better in Metal Gear Solid 4 than in Metal Gear Solid 1. But you're always going to compare Metal Gear Solid 4 to Metal Gear Solid 1. Whereas Metal Gear Solid 1 was the first thing you ever experienced, so you have nothing to compare to. So that seemed like the greatest thing ever, because there was no bottom. There was nothing for you to compare it to, so it's always the greatest thing ever. Now you're playing this other good game. This is going to be compared to that. So there's a much smaller difference in quality, like from your perceived notion of quality. Was that coherent? Did that make sense? I can probably explain it further in detail if you just ask me in the comment section. Because I'm not trying to upset anyone, I'm just trying to say how I see it. Reason 3. This is probably the saddest one. You're not really finding modern video games fun anymore because, well, you grew up. What would entertain you as a child no longer does. Like, you're not really going to be as entertained as just explosions and cooler looking characters and stuff now than you would back then. And that's probably why the quote-unquote cinematic experiences, the games who have a really immersive story, that's probably why they've gotten popular recently, because no longer are you playing it because it's this cool thing to do. You're playing it because you get enjoyment from the genre itself, but the genre itself isn't really enough anymore. Like, it's just... It's like saying action video game. A kid would buy that because it's an action video game and they like action. But in the same way, a kid would want to go and see an animated movie, no matter how terrible it is, like say the Emoji Movie. But now, an adult wouldn't just go and see an action movie because it's an action movie. An adult would go and see an action movie because they find it interesting. In the same way, you'd only buy a game like The Last of Us or God of War or Fallout because you expect a good story from it. Yep. I'm still angry at Fallout 76. Thought I was over it, but no, I'm not. I'm gonna end this video on a question. What was your favourite era of video games? Was it the 8-bit era maybe, or the 16-bit, or when games started to become 3D? Or maybe it was the CD renaissance, where we managed to put lots more audio onto the tapes, so we had things like soundtracks and voice acting. So yeah, tell me, because I'm interested. Special thanks to Stolen Dragoon and Ori Main for being my top tier patrons. I'll try and upload a video every day, as, it's fun. So I'll see you. Well, I won't see you, because I'm currently looking at a camera, but you'll see me when I upload again, because that's how it works. Unless you're watching this video in the background. Or, which is good, because I don't put any effort into the visuals. Or into the audio, or the script writing, I just turn on the camera and just blurt out whatever comes into my head. Which has gotten me into a bit of trouble in the past, but, that's just how I roll.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. You feel it too, don't you?